Howdy to everyone. Happy Friday or Saturday on the other part of the planet. Get a opportunity to give ourselves a beautiful challenge to sit completely still. It's not common in the West to be completely still, but when we can put our body into stillness, we can expand our mind and consciousness much more. Free ourselves from all the tension that's bogging down the mind and body organism. Liberate the mind. So if at any time the foot falls asleep, if it does, feel free to shake it out, wiggle the leg, and then cross it back. And have fun, joyfully done. Quieten the body, quieten the mind. Let's start off shaking out the legs, wiggle the legs, wiggle the ankles, and then cross them back into a comfortable seated pose. Patanjali calls it austerity, tapasya. Yes, you're stepping out of your comfort zone. The comfort zone is to move around, or even when we sit down, we're hunched over. Austerity, spine tall, stick with it. Good. So cross the legs back and bring the palms on the knees, touch the tip of the thumbs, tip of the index fingers. Close the eyes softly. Use the power of your legs. Push the legs down, lift the spine a little bit taller. And you want to try and keep this tall posture for the rest of the practice. They will commence our journey with Jalandhar Bandh and Mula Bandh, throat lock, perineum lock with a Prakash Mudra. Inhale half lung of air. Swallow the air as if you're swallowing water. Hold the breath in. Move the chin into the chest, shoulders up towards the ears. Jalandhar Bandh, throat lock. Mula Bandh, squeeze the perineum muscles as if you're preventing yourself from going to the loop. With the eyelids closed, gaze into the center of the eyebrow, Shambhavi Mudra. Whenever you need the breath, release the perineum muscles, lift the chin, sniff in a bit more air, and exhale, control. Bring the breath back to normal breathing. With the eyelids closed, just gaze into the center of the eyebrows, the chitta, the mind space. Whenever we do the external locks, yogis call it bandhas, we are unlocking the inner body, the subtle body. Less and less thoughts start to move in and out of the mind, sedating the mind. Once again, come back with throat lock, perineum lock. Inhale, half lung of air. Swallow. Hold the breath in, chin into the chest, shoulders up. Squeeze the perineum muscles. Gaze into the center of the eyebrows. When you need the breath, release the perineum, lift the chin, sniff in a bit more air, and exhale, control. Bring the breath back to normal breathing. Just witness your mind space, recognizing how less and less thoughts move in there. You may see shapes, colors, just detachedly witnessing. Stillness of the body, Kaya Styram. Take your awareness to the right foot, toes to the heel, right foot is still. To the left foot is solid. To the entire right leg from the toes, passing the calf, the knee, the thigh to the right hip girdle. The entire right leg is stable. Move the awareness to the entire left leg from the toes to the left hip girdle. Entire left leg is immovable. Take the awareness to the pelvic floor, the glutes, the lower back, the front of the pelvis. The entire pelvic floor is cemented. Take your awareness to the entire back, from the glutes to the shoulders. The entire back is still. Take your awareness to the right hand, fingertips to the wrist. Right hand is steady. To the left hand is solid. To the entire right arm, fingertips passing the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm to the right shoulder blade. The entire right arm is stable. To the entire left arm, fingertips to the shoulder. Entire left arm is immovable. Bring the awareness to the neck. The neck is motionless. To the head is completely still. Take your awareness to the whole body and imagine the whole body is like a statue, immovable, stable. As the physical body moves into stillness more and more as time progresses, quiet the mind, still the mind, liberate the mind into the present moment. Become aware of the breath at the entrance of the nostrils. Try not to control the breath, just witness it moving in and out. As you connect your mind at the breath, see if you can identify the slight temperature change of the breath. Incoming breath is slightly cooler. Outgoing breath is slightly warmer. Move your awareness to the breath in the rib cage. Try not to alter the movement of the rib cage, just witness it. As we inhale, the rib cage naturally makes a small movement up and out. As we exhale, the rib cage naturally makes a small movement in and down. Stay in the present moment with the breath in the rib cage now. Move the focus to that amazing muscle which separates the thoracic organs from the abdominal organs, the diaphragm. Imagine you can see the diaphragm. And as we inhale, that amazing muscle flattens out. And as we exhale, it makes a small little dome shape upwards. Inhale, it flattens out. Exhale, dome shape upwards into the thoracic region. Keep the visualization. Keep the mind in the present on the breath and the movement of the diaphragm now. This time, move the focus of the mind to the breath in the abdomen. Try not to control the movement of the abdomen, just witness it. As we inhale and exhale, the abdomen naturally makes a small movement out and in. Stay in the present with the breath in the abdomen now. And now bring the focus back to the breath at the entrance of the nostrils. And we're going to follow the pathway of the breath from the entrance of the nostrils to the abdomen. As we inhale, feel the cool air coming in, chest moves up and out, diaphragm flattens, abdomen move outer in. As we exhale, abdomen move outer in, diaphragm dome shapes, chest moves in and down, warm air leaves the nostrils. Keep following the pathway of the breath from the entrance of the nostrils to the abdomen now. After the next exhalation, I want you to give up the practice. And this time, just identify the breath at the entrance of the nostrils and see if you can identify the 4 parts of the breath. There's an inhalation, followed by a split-second retention inside, followed by an exhalation, followed by a split-second retention outside, followed by an inhalation again. Keep witnessing the 4 parts of the breath now. I want you to equalize the 4 parts of the breath. Move with me, my pace. Inhale slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath in, continue this ratio, equalizing. If counts of 4 is too challenging for the lungs, decrease it to counts of 3. Counts of 4 is too easy for your lungs, increase it to counts of 5. Your pace now. After you complete the next exhalation, bring the breath back to normal breathing. I want you to just gaze into the center of the eyebrows, the mind space. Yogis refer to it as the Chidaakash. You, that spiritual being that's hearing my voice, projecting the consciousness into that space behind the forehead. And as you do so, try not to think of anything. If thoughts enter, stay for a while, leave, just witness them detachedly. And again, those thought patterns are going to come from the senses. You may smell, remember, you may taste something, you may see a thought pattern coming in the form of a music, a song. You may see a form, shape, whatever enters your mind, just witness them detachedly. And if no thoughts enter your mind, just appreciate the silence of the mind now. Recognizing your mind can only have one thought at any given moment. I want you to create a thought in your mind. Hold it there for a few seconds. Cast it away. Let it go out of the mind. Now create another object in the mind. Hold that thought pattern in the mind. Cast it away. Let it out of the mind. Now choose another object in the mind. Now get rid of it, cast it away. Continue like this for the next minute. No random thoughts. You're creating your thought pattern. Hold it in the mind for a while. Get rid of them, followed by another one. Continue like this now. Excellent. Now this time I want you to gaze into the center of your mind. Let the thoughts come up randomly, but when they come up randomly, you contemplate them for a few seconds, you get rid of it. Let another one come up randomly, contemplate it, then cast it away. If no thoughts come up from the subconscious part of the mind, just appreciate the silence of your amazing mind. Let the thoughts come randomly, consciously get rid of them now. Very good. Now I want you to choose an object, something that's very familiar to you, something you see regularly. And I want you to choose your object and keep that object in your mind space now. No random thoughts enter the mind, only the object you choose. Concentrate your mind on that one object now. Very good. And now let that object out of the mind. And now I want you to use your willpower and keep your mind empty. No random thoughts, no creative thoughts, just quietness in the mind. Gaze into your mind and keep it quiet as long as you can now. Very good. Now I want you to move your focus from the frontal bone of the skull and bring it into the rib cage. Yogis call it Hridayakash, the heart space. That space behind your breastbone, in front of the backbone, that space below your clavicle and above the diaphragm. Become aware of this beautiful heart space. And as you inhale, feel that heart space expanding. And as you exhale, feel the heart space contract. Keep your awareness with the expansion and contraction of the heart space now. Whereas the heart, the chitta we use to think, to know, in the hridaya, the heart space, we feel the emotions. As we go through our incarnation in this life, we're constantly using the heart space. Regularly, the heart space is being stimulated. As you gaze in the heart space, I want you to remember a time when you experience gratitude in the heart space. And I want you to give gratitude a color for that space, from the diaphragm to the clavicle, breastbone to the backbone. Gratitude. Remember a time you experienced total gratitude in the heart, and give gratitude, that heart space, a color for it now. I want you to remember a time in this life when you experience the emotion of anxiety. Throughout this life, we've had anxious moments. Bring that thought pattern, that emotion of anxiety, and give that emotion a color in the heart space now. This time, I want you to move into the memory of your mind and remember an experience you had of complete happiness, a time when you were completely happy. Bring that scenario and that emotion of happiness in the heart space, and give that happiness a beautiful color. Yogis recognize the first emotion coming out of our spiritual self is love. Recognize when you experience self-love in this lifetime, you're able to love the gifts you've been given and give that amazing heart space a color for your self-love now. When we can recognize the love in our heart, we can then contemplate how to share this love with other living entities through the act of compassion. Remember a time in this life when you did an act of compassion, you experienced that compassionate nature in you, and give your heart space a color for that compassion now. I want you to recognize these emotions, they come in the mind, body, organism as we grew. I want you to imagine, remember a picture of yourself when you were like a little baby. And as you grew, you start to experience these different emotions of love, anger, anxiety, fear, compassion, gratitude. You grew. And somehow, as your senses make contact with the sense object outside, they create thought patterns, desires, and they trigger different emotions. As you sit quietly, be very introspective and recognize you cannot create an eye, you cannot create the optic nerve, you cannot create the ear, the auditory nerve, the brain, the water, the fire, all these amazing elements, and then the universe outside. Wow, all the different people you meet. As you introspect, you recognize right next to you, that spiritual being in the heart space is Paramatma, Lord in the heart. It is the divinity in the heart which gifted us these gifts of eyes, ears, nose. The divinity in the heart gifted us our friends and family and people, and we can interrelate and trigger these amazing emotions. These emotions, all of these emotions first existed in divinity. And when the yogis go through the different experiences and emotions, the yogis understood it is there from an opportunity for us to recognize I am not my emotions, I am not my thoughts, I'm a divine, spiritual, loving being. And the more we can connect to that higher self, the more we can influence our mind from that wisdom and less being influenced from the senses and ignorance. As you sit silently for the next couple minutes, recognize you're sitting in the presence of God, the presence of divinity right next to you. Feeling that unconditional love that God is giving you right now. So many gifts right now. Sitting in silence in the presence of divinity now. Yogis recognize when we sit in silence, we can start to listen to that inner divinity that's right next to us and connect to that unconditional love. Whenever we extrovert the mind, we will see people who are ambassadors of anger, of fear, of intimidation, of exploitation. The Yogis understood we can also become ambassadors of love and compassion. We can set an example of someone who's connecting to their higher self. When we can do that, that means we are experiencing, we're tapping into that experience that everything we have are gifts from God out of God's unconditional love. Our toes, our spleen, our liver, our brain, our family, our pets, our plants. It's all gifts from God. I want you to gaze, bring your focus to the center of the eyebrows, and this time contemplate a compassionate act you would love to do in the next few days. See yourself doing an act of love from your heart to assist a fellow living entity, a plant, an animal, or a fellow human being with no desire for anything in return. See yourself doing a compassionate act now. And let the image go. Bring your focus back to your amazing breath. And keep remembering this breath is God's act of unconditional love to us. None of us can create oxygen, nitrogen that we're breathing in. The planet, the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon. Recognize we are constantly being loved, and the more we tap into that, the more we can be ambassadors of that love to the planet. Take a deep inhalation. Exhale slowly. Breath to normal. Move the fingers slowly. Bring the palms to the heart. Lower the head towards your higher self, that divine, loving self, compassionate being, and towards the Lord and the heart. Namaste. Lift the head, open the eyes. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you all so much for inspiring each other. Whenever we meditate together, we help each other to go deeper. Every day, every day. Connect to that ocean. It's a reservoir, an unending reservoir of love that's in our heart space. It can't finish. Once I remember one person asked my teacher, can the heart ever finish of compassionate acts? No, God is unlimited. Ocean is there. So around us, we see many people, they're ambassadors of determination, ambassadors of anger, ambassadors of fear, so many, right? And when we can recognize it, we can also recognize the opposite of it. The opposite of all these negative emotions from ignorance is from love and compassion. So the more we meditate, can listen to the inner voice, the more we can be an ambassador of compassion to the planet and love. Our planet needs it more and more, especially now. And even if it's just shared to a plant or to an animal or to one human being, it goes a long way because it affects the whole universe. So over this weekend, see if you can do an act of compassion. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely weekend and see you on Monday as we resume our Yoga Sutras. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Bashak. Thank you, Helen and Celine. Mahalo Shifumi. Thank you, Kruti. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Yogi Charu.
Hari Om Tat Sat.